Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the review channel. You know that boat carrier that I made, I guess you could call it that, or a carry-all for the truck that basically slides up into the hitch. It's also good for carrying lumber. I decided that I needed a few more 12 footers, and this bed is only like 5 foot and I think it's 8 inches or something like that. But with the tailgate down, you know, it does give me a little bit more support. But since I had some 12 footers, I decided to go ahead and throw this thing on there, and it just supports it all the way through. So if you're looking for some idea for your vehicle and you don't have a trailer and you need to haul something, something like this might be a good alternative to be able to haul something and not have it flopping up and down in the back. But anyway, what my plans are today is I'm going to get in there and I'm going to place some insulation up overhead because I got some help coming this weekend to finish hanging sheetrock on the first part of the front half. So when I get that done, all I'll have is one section from one end to the other next to the front wall, and then all that will be done. And then doing this gable end on this side and the other half of the one over there by my bedroom, and the ceiling will be done. But then I think after that what I'm going to do is stain. What I'm trying to do is prepare all of my trim pieces and kind of stockpile them. I'll probably put them up overhead of the beams in there. That way when I have rainy days, or if I don't get to it until it starts getting cooler weather, then I'll have all that up there to be able to trim out the house and work on the inside. But yeah, this is a great piece of equipment, not only for hauling the boat, but for hauling other things that may be longer than your truck bed. Well, I know that you guys remember the pile of rock that I got from North Carolina that I showed you originally. Been going through there and laying rock for the stove area, and this is primarily what's going to be left. I've got enough in there to finish it, but I've got not only this stack, but I've got another stack over there at the side of the house. So I've decided that when I get around to building the earthen oven, which hasn't been a big priority because I do have the grill and I do have the rocket stove, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these thinner pieces like this, and I will cover the outside of the earthen oven. I think that would be, I think it would look really nice. And then I'm probably going to have some of that gray stone left that I'm putting around the bottom skirt of the cabin. So when I begin to start doing some landscaping and stuff like that, I'll probably go ahead and build a walkway and use this in it as well. But this is going to be a great addition for finishing a lot of things that I had around here that I didn't even plan on. I was just guessing at how much I was going to need, but you never can tell, you know, especially the way that they had it packaged up. But yep, I've got this pile, another pile, and I'll end up probably with a pretty good sized pile left over from the cabin. So we'll see what kind of projects we can come up with to add this to it. I'm going to show you some footage that I took from the trail camera that happened one night. I was telling you about some wild hogs down there in the field, so let's take a look at this clip. This clip right here shows a hog that's going past one of the trail cameras. It's actually going up the big ridge there on the side. So I have noticed them down there when I take the dogs in the morning. You know, I don't know what it is, but every morning when I'm in bed, probably about 6:15, they always want to wake up, and they'll begin kind of whimpering at me to get up and take them down there, I guess, to check out the local happenings down there at the watershed. But anyway, that's one of their rituals. Not only that, but we go 4 or 5 times a day. But that's one of the first things that they want to do. And then, of course, I bring them back up here and give them some treats. But yeah, the hogs have been down there, and I've noticed a lot of fresh areas that they have been rooting up down there. You know, it was just a few years ago, and I think I had 15 of them on camera. Now, there's not that many this time. There's only a couple, well, that I've seen with my naked eye, and then the few that I've captured on camera. But we do have some hogs back, and I am seriously thinking about setting up a tree stand or something down there, and then, you know, taking time in the evening and going down and, you know, just setting up there and see what I can see. But, you know, another little project I got coming up, it's hard to buy anything that's quality anymore. This hoe was probably only a little over a year old, and I don't know what the handle's made out of, but as you can tell, it broke off right there. So I saved the pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'll cut this off back down here. I will drill a hole on up inside a little bit more, taper it off, and then put this back on. I think what I'm going to do is drill a hole in here, or maybe a couple of them, and put some nut and bolt in there. That way it'll kind of hold it a lot more steady, and then hammer this down there as far as I can. I do need to clean this up, but that's what I was using, you know, to work on my cement with. But you know, instead of going and buying a new one, we just repair the old one. And if we can't get enough stick out of this old one, we'll just go up in the woods and cut us a dogwood, which is a hardwood, and we'll make one. But yeah, that's another little project that I've got to do, is repair the hoe. You know, something else that I felt that was worth mentioning, and you've probably seen me use these multiple times. I've even had people email and ask, where can they find these things? Well, a lot of the stuff I find it on Amazon. But these right here are holdfast. Some people refer to them as a bench clamp. I've always called them a bench dog. But basically it's just a piece of metal, and what happens is you drill a hole just a little bit larger than the piece of equipment right there, and it will go down in that hole, and as you hammer it down, what happens is it puts pressure on this neck right here into the hole, and it begins to tighten itself up into the hole. You can hear it. See, it makes a really good handle, and the way that you get it loose is you peck it on the back side, and then it just lifts right back up. But these things right here, I had a subscriber send me these from North Carolina, and I'll tell you what, this has been one of the very best tools, especially out here for what I'm doing. I've got holes drilled in the workbench in there in the sawmill, so I can hold anything in there. You know, I've got a vise mounted in there too, but a lot of times I use these right here. I've also got these two workbenches, basically bushcraft bench is what I call it. This is just a log right here that I split down the middle and then drill some holes in the bottom and put me a couple of legs in there. But these things, I've got holes drilled on both ends on both benches, and I can lay a piece of that slab wood up there and drop that thing down in there, hit it a time or two, and it's just as good as the vise that I've got mounted in there on the workbench. But I'll tell you what, these things really come in handy for a number of things, not just wood, anything that you want to hold. So I would suggest, and they're not that expensive, I just, you know, hadn't, I guess, seen them before, but when they were watching me work, I guess they saw a need for me to have one of these, and they were aware of them, and they sent them to me, and I'll tell you what, I have used these so many times. And I'm very grateful to the person. You know who you are. I'll mention it again. thank you so much for sending these, because they have been invaluable doing what I'm doing out here. But yeah, let me show you a close-up right here. Just a piece of metal. But all you need is this one piece of metal and a hole, and you have got yourself an excellent hold-fast vise, whatever you want to call it. This is a great piece of equipment to have on hand. Well, I don't have a whole lot of it cut yet, but I did have a few logs, pine logs up here that I went ahead and cut. I've actually got enough joists. I've got 4 more that I've actually laid back there at the back door up on the steps, kind of over on top of the bank, and didn't make it such a steep climb into the house, because I didn't know if that was bothering the dog's hind leg, you know, trying to push themselves up in there. But I've got 4 more back there, but I've got enough of the joist cut that I need. I just need to cut the 1x10 perimeter joists that are going to go around. And then I got a few of the decking boards cut over there, but I've got another tree that has been cut. Well, I say a tree, it's a log that's up there behind the chicken house that I'm going to mill up for some decking material. Then I've got another eye on a tree down there coming up the driveway that is leaning, that I'll probably go ahead and cut it too, and that may be able to finish out the decking that I need for the front porch. But I am trying to do a little bit at a time, depending on, you know, if I've got help up here and the days are nice. So yep, we do have a start on the front porch for the cabin. I also picked up this 6-inch brush for the flues for the stove, so that I can clean it out. Even though I wasn't moved up here last year and I did use it quite a bit, I'll be using it full time this year, and I didn't want to go into the second year with not cleaning it out. So I bought the brush to do that with, and then I got 4 rods, which are basically fiberglass rods. Although I've only got 3 sections of pipe. I went ahead and got that 4th rod to give me something to hang on to on the upper side, and so that I didn't have my hand all the way down in there, you know, getting it black and trying to clean it out. Now, the way that thing is made back there, the very bottom where it turns to go into the house, the very bottom also has a screw cap that I can take off and hopefully just shove this all the way through the bottom and then pull it back up before it makes that turn. That way that whole pipe is clean and it doesn't just settle into the bottom when I'm brushing it out. So otherwise I'd have to come out on the inside and vacuum that portion out. But I did clean that little bit that goes through the wall as I was disassembling that to start working on the chimney. I mean the wood stove area for the rock. But I didn't have the long portion of it clean, so I did pick this up and these rods right here to be able to do that. So we will start this fall or this winter out with a clean flue and a brand new rocked stove area where the stove is going to go. So I'm looking forward to being able to use that and to use that wood heat and all that nice wood that I was able to get from the church this year to warm myself not only this winter, but to be able to sit there possibly and read a book and have a fire. I do need to get, you know, the doors actually have a place that you can put some glass in there. What's in there now is just a metal piece, so I need to get online and see the Buck stoves or have one made, but I think that I can find them, the glass pieces, so that I can take the 2 metal pieces out, put the glass in there, and then I don't actually have to open the doors to be able to look in and see the fire. But yeah, it'll be really nice this fall to be able to sit by the fireside and to just chill out and read, or just sit there and contemplate, or think about, you know, what another project that I'm going to be working on. But yeah, this acid, I'm going to, like I said, hopefully clean the rock off. I'm kind of debating on whether to put some sort of sealer on it. Like, I know that some people have put polyurethane on stuff like that before. Not really sure. If you've got any good ideas on sealing it to where it makes it stand out a lot better, be sure and leave me a comment and let me know. But these items right here are basically cleaners to clean with, and it's just about that time that we're going to be needing the stove, so I need to get it prepared and ready to go. Well, I thought I would take some time and answer a few questions. I've had quite a few since the last video, but one person writes, I think your wood stove stonework and concrete is too much weight. It isn't necessary to make a base solid concrete a foot thick, just saying that there are better options. Well, if they had watched earlier episodes when I was actually building the cabin, that I reinforced the bottom with more posts, actually where the stove area, you know, is at and where the stove is going to set. So it's not going to settle any unless the whole earth underneath settles. But I did make preparations for that because I knew what I was going to do ahead of time. And also, that isn't solid concrete. I did pour concrete in there, but I tried to use cinder blocks and other things that would take up a lot of space in there, you know, just taking into consideration that I was adding weight and that it didn't need to be all concrete. But the reason that I made it 12 inches high is because the stove sits up on top of that, and I didn't want to bend over totally completely having the stove sit all the way on the floor. I wanted it to be elevated up higher so that it didn't have to bend over as much. You know, normally a fireplace, like the one that we had in our house, was set up a foot high so that you didn't totally bend over all the way, and you had a nice hearth that you could actually go and sit on each side of the fireplace if you wanted to. I remember as a kid, that's what I used to do early in the morning when I was getting ready for school, bring my clothes in there and sit down by the fireplace where it was a little bit warmer and put my clothes on. But yeah, you know, the bottom of the floor is reinforced in there underneath the joist, so there's not any worry or worries about settling going to happen since I added that weight in there. Another person writes, can't believe it's been almost a year since I retired. You've accomplished an awful lot since then. And yes, I have. I was thinking the other day that, you know, even in a 2-year period of time, basically, there wasn't anything up here. So that cabin, this area right here, this outdoor kitchen, the chicken house, the outdoor toilet, you know, the walkway, all the wood that's been cut and milled, and everything that's been done up here has basically been done in a period of 2 years, pretty much, probably 90% of the time, just me by myself. And one of those 2 years that I'm talking about, over the last 2 years, I was actually working full-time, or what we would consider full-time, which would be 72 to 96 hours a week. And then on the days that I have off, I had off, I would come up here and work. So there's been a whole lot accomplished, even though I was carrying a full schedule, teaching at the college too, you know, some days, and working those hours. But anyway, you know, it has come a long way, and I'm excited about getting a lot of that finished before winter in there. So, you know, there's still a lot of work to do on the cabin, but once it's finished, then I can move on to another project, which will either be the garage, if I can get this tiny house moved, and the wood shop, or the shop basically, workshop, let's call it that, and or that base camp down there. So we've got some other projects that are coming up, probably beginning spring after the planning gets done, and or maybe even over this winter time I may go down there and decide to do some work. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, a whole lot has been done. Another person writes, says the log bits, I guess they're talking about the slab wood, that you're using for trim and whatnot are maybe my favorite touch so far. I agree that it makes the cabin look so unique and rustic. Plus it uses otherwise wasted wood, which is fantastic. You know, I had never thought about it until I started building that outhouse down there, and I had the, you know, I put 1x10s on the outside and kind of had it sealed up with that, the outside, and I got to thinking, well, instead of cutting battens, why don't I use some of this slab wood? And it actually turned out really cool. So I wasn't going to do the same thing to the cabin because that would have just been too much. But what I did decide to do was put them everywhere that I had a vertical post so that it might appear like I had built it between trees. But it kind of breaks up the monotony of the, I made them 2.5 inches. It kind of breaks up the monotony of the batten pattern, I guess, if you will, on the cabin, and kind of makes it look unique, especially right there on the corners where I wrapped around the corner. But I think it's turning out really cool, and then I decided to use it on the inside to save, you know, money on lumber, and they're, you know, pretty much useless otherwise. I know a lot of people that go to the lumber yard and pick them up and cut them, you know, to burn them for firewood. But the other thing too that I'm thinking about doing is once I get the flooring in, is actually taking and putting those on the mill and planing one side of it off, and then turn the live edge up and making baseboards out of it. So that's another thing that I've got in mind doing that will be in the future. So every tree that I cut up, I save the slab wood because I'm going to find a use for it somewhere. You know, I had someone says that they love the details and the dedication in teaching us along your journey. You know, this is not a how-to channel, and I'm not really trying to teach anybody anything. I'm just explaining basically what I'm doing and the decisions that I've made on this channel behind the scenes as to what, why, and how I'm doing things. You know, and then of course the other channel where I do all the building and stuff like that, you know, it's not how to build a cabin or how to build a chicken house or a outdoor kitchen or a compost toilet. It's just my way of doing things, you know. The cabin, you know, none of these things I really had any plans. I thought them up in my head. I kind of envisioned the way I wanted the cabin to look, and basically just went from there. Even the floor plan, you know, I thought, well, this is how big I want it, and you know, I kind of divided it up in the beginning because of the size of the post and the beams that I needed to cut and the span that they were going to go and what I thought that they would support. So, you know, there was a little bit of planning there, but the rest of it, you know, is just a picture that I had in my head, and what I've got now is what I'm working with. And you know, so I'm not trying to teach anybody anything, although, you know, I've learned a few tricks or a few, you know, tips on doing things that you might pick up from there. But I'm certainly not a master carpenter, stone mason, odd building craftsman or anything like that, even though a lot of the stuff up here is oddball that I may have seen a picture from somewhere before, and I just added my own touches to it. So but anyway, you know, feel free to use any of those ideas, but they're definitely not a how-to because I didn't know how to when I started. You know, another thing that people have been asking about, and I told them that I would address it, and I may have to address it on the main channel too, but the girlfriend that I mentioned back around the beginning of the year, actually she did move up here, but then she ended up in Florida. What happened was, right after she got here, her mother got sick, ended up in the hospital with stage 4 cancer, and basically passed away 2 weeks later. So there was a hard time that she went through when she was here. She actually, you know, kind of reunited with some of the family that had, you know, kind of grown apart over the years when her mother died, and that was really good. And then she was offered a job not shortly after she got here. She was having a hard time finding a place to stay that was close to her job. And so in the meantime, this company contacted her from Florida, which is where she was from originally, and offered her $10 more per hour to come there and work, which, to me is kind of like a no-brainer. The other thing too is her youngest daughter only lived an hour and a half from the town that she moved to, and she also found out that her oldest, who was living in Dallas, Texas at the time, was fixing to move to the same place. So we talked it over, and I told her, I said, you can't pass up a deal like this. This is just, a great move, not only to be able to make so much more money per hour. Of course, the cost of living is higher there, but to be, with your kids to where she can have, them over on throughout the week or on the weekends, and, it's kind of like, having the whole family there. So it was a decision that was made. She's happy. I'm happy for her, and we're still friends, but sometimes that's the way things in life work out. And I helped her get everything packed up and moved. I helped her to transition because she was actually going to leave South Carolina anyway when she made the move up here, and I went and helped her move that stuff. So everything worked out, and I told her, I said, it may have just been the Lord having His hand, in our lives at the right time for us to be able to help each other, to get not only through that hard time, but to be able to make the move and get settled, to move forward with our lives. So everything is cool. She is, like I say, she's alive and well. She is in Florida. Everything is doing great. And but appreciate your comments and your concerns about her, but I thought that I would go ahead and address that because I get quite a bit of comments about that. Somebody said that they wish they had the patience to do the rock work. I don't think it's patience. That's just the way it is. You can't do it any faster. Well, I guess you could. And I'm not working at it really slow. I'm just trying to get it done, but it takes a long time to do rock work and mix concrete and get it the way you want it to look. And of course, this is my first job of laying rock, and I'm sure other people could do it a whole lot faster. And it's quite labor intensive, and I could probably mix up 2 batches in a day, but 1 batch is kind of all I want to do, and let that rock set up, because when I stack more on top of it, it would just, if I get too high, then it would make the bottom maybe want to, kick out. So mixing up 2 bags a day and getting that set's about all I want to do. And that's kind of the way I'm filming too, is doing that and doing something else. That way it's not all just rock work one day, or whatever project I'm working on. It's not just that. It's kind of a mixture of other things. But yeah, if you've never laid rock before, which I hadn't, it's about like laying brick. It takes a while, and if you're not used to it, it's slow going. Richard, where did you get the old rocking chair? My grandfather had one like it, and I haven't seen one since I was a kid. I'm 66 now. That rocker brings back lots of old memories. My daughter actually gave me that. I think that somebody had gave them to her. They probably picked them up from Cracker Barrel, because Cracker Barrel makes those and sells them out front. And then I've got another small rocking chair up there. It's made a little bit different, but yeah, there's a lot of places that people make these and then sell them, in bulk to places like that. And but my daughter actually gave me that rocking chair, and then my niece gave me this other smaller one up here. But it's a great addition, because a lot of times I come up here and this is where I do my reviews from, or just come up here and sit in the evening and chill out and think about what I'm going to do the next day. But that's where I got it. The court jester, Jennifer, she gave it to me. Another thing that I need to do is I need to call the taxidermist and find out about that bear that I had that I wanted him to fix up to hang on the wall, because it's not going to be long and I'll have the inside finished. So I might try to give him a call and give you all an update next week on what I find out, because he did call me about 8 weeks ago saying that he was going to get started on it, that he had a bunch of deer and turkey that he had to mount and get ready to go, but the bear was coming up. So I'm going to check on that and see how far along he is, because I told him that it might be cheaper to just try to ship it out here as opposed to me taking off time and driving, because it would be around 12 to 13 hours round trip if I did it non-stop, plus the fuel and the time, you know, that it would take away from up here doing things. So if we can get it shipped out here, I think that that's what I'm going to do. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Appreciate you stopping by up here at the cabin and hanging out with us while we're working on the homestead. If you're new to this channel, be sure and go to Smoky Mountain Outpost channel. Check that out. That's where we do all the work on the homestead up here. A whole lot less talking. This is more behind the scenes on what's happening. We also do monthly giveaways on both channels, so be sure to go to our website and check that out, because that's where you can find all the details. Also, fall, winter is coming up. We have lots of winter wear and apparel that my son has designed. So if you want to help support the channel in that way, there's a link down in the description section below the video here that you can find to go to the store. Go there and check it out. You know, you've got Christmas, holidays, birthdays, things like that that are coming up. There may be something there that you might like to get for someone that you know. So, and then again, there may not be anything, but you don't know if you don't go check it out. So you can find that link in the bottom. My son has done a lot of work on designing different things that we thought that people may like. Also, towards the end of the video, you'll be able to see a couple of icons pop up. If you want to watch more of the most recent review channel video, you can click the bottom left-hand corner. If you're interested in watching the most latest Outpost video, you can click the top left-hand corner. So guys, my son, my daughter, and I, we really appreciate you stopping by and supporting both of our channels. We can't thank you enough for that, sharing with your family, friends, and neighbors. Coming from the bottom of our heart, we greatly appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and end it here. We hope everyone has a great day. Take care of yourselves, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.